is Patrick Hampton here? Okay. He wanted to speak too, so I told him we'd give him a few minutes after you. Thank you, Mark.
Yes, ma'am. Good evening. I'm Mark King. I'm the Deputy Chief of Law Enforcement. Fixing to start my 34th year with the Sheriff's Office. Kind of actually my 37th. I started when I was a kid as an explorer, so. I'm not much of a carpenter or electrician, my wife will tell you that. But I do know the Sheriff's Office. From 16 to 53, it's been my life. It's been my dedication, it's been my passion. So with that, I'm kind of the operational guy. I'm where the rubber meets the road. I run the law enforcement section of the Sheriff's Office. There's a deputy chief who runs the jail corrections side of the house. I answer to Chief Deputy Austin Garrett and Sheriff Jim Hammond. From that, I'm going to be brief, but kind of describe some serious concerns I've got. I know 3 police officers that were headed to the Sheriff's Office. I know their backgrounds, I know who they are, I know their work ethic, I know their professionalism, I know their integrity. All expectations that I, the chief and the sheriff have to hire into the Sheriff's Office. And they took a left turn and they hired in at Soddy Daisy Police Department, making more money. They hired in a municipality, making more money. Now, I'm not saying anything bad about that, about Soddy, but you got to understand the geographics of where the county has grown. I've watched it grow since I was 16 years old. We have an East 7. We have 2 different sides of the river. This is the east side and we've got a west side. We've got 7 districts on each side of that river. Each side of the river has an East 7 and the west side has a West 7. Those are bigger districts. In the East 7, you're talking about Harrison Birchwood in the north end. On the west side, you're talking about Bakewell, Sale Creek on that north end. If you take those 2 districts and set them side by side, you can put the city limits of Chattanooga in those. And by geographics, I've done some explanation recently with commissioners and stuff of how that affects you, is making a run from here all the way up to Highway 60. Sometimes it has to occur. Our cars get on calls that are priority calls and they're locked down. So sometimes we have to maneuver cars in a major degree to just get calls covered. So we've got 7 districts on each side with an officer filling each district, hopefully most of the time. Attrition's another issue there. Attrition hits us hard. We have deputies that are deployed with the military right now, which takes a person off that shift. We have on-the-job injuries that occur based on what our profession requires of us. That takes another one off the shift. If you have somebody at shift that's actually one deployed, and I have this, a patrol shift that's got 1 person deployed, 1 person that's out on a medical, and 1 person that is in required training, out of 7 cars, I've lost 3, and I've got 4 plus a sergeant on that team to cover the entire side of the river. So just by that, attrition hurts us. It hurts us in different, and some of these things come in sometimes where deputies will get called down to an unknown court date for just by the judge calling them down. So these things happen to us constantly. We're established pretty strong as far as the state of Tennessee, as far as our size of our sheriff's office. We're around 383, give or take. Director Bernard has more of those specific numbers. I have around 200 of those people under my command. And I see men and women day to day making sacrifices that almost cannot be described. We do work long hours. 3 years ago, I was 9 people down on patrol, 9. And that was from either personal medical injuries or on-the-job injuries. And we had to create a project. It was a patrol added strength project that lasted for 3 months. Detailed it almost down to a penny to show why we were going to do this, but we actually had to work deputies mandatory overtime to make sure these districts were covered. The mayor hit on something earlier, and I'm glad he did, because it brought something to light that I tell a lot of my new hires is if you do want that thing at the house fixed, that electrical issue, that plumbing problem, or that thing built, you can go in and you can get those references. You can get those references out of the phone book. You can make phone calls. You can check them all day long. And you want to get the best one. You want the best one. When you call us, we're all you get. So my expectation of my deputies is my 33 years of full-time service is my expectations are high. And I expect that professionalism. And I think we produce that in a lot of ways that generally the public don't get to see. But there are a lot of men and women out there that are sacrificing a lot of time because sometimes we have to work them over. It's the only option we've got. So, like I said, with the numbers, that's more Director Bernard's area. The way I tell my supervisors and when I look at my captains is if we take any more attrition hits, I have to find a way to circle the wagons. I have to make sure that all those resources that are available for you at a moment's notice are ready to go. Because it's kind of a rough job in one sense is you kind of come into work every day to do one thing, think about bad stuff happening and how you're going to deal with it. So we have to prepare our mindset that way, and we do everything from, and take one not away from the other as far as our heart being put into it, from a neighbor's dog that's driving you crazy and you're barking, all the way to responding to the Sequoia Nuclear Facility because we're their primary backup. So that's a big footprint we have. And so we're expected to do it right. That's the profession. Law enforcement's not easy. It's not pretty a lot of times. It just doesn't have that side to it. We do it right, and sometimes we can do everything right, and it still isn't pretty. But I think with the values that the Sheriff's Office holds, they're strong, and we will continue to push those values in that manner. I will be here all evening. If anybody's got any questions, I'll be glad to answer them now, or I'll be here all evening. If you want to ask them afterwards, I'll be glad to hang around and answer any questions you got. And if it has to do with the numbers, Director Bernard's here as well.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.